This is Ben, this is the Property Diary. Today is Thursday, the 7th of March. I'm here in the car with my buddy Falco. Say hello, Falco.
Hello.
We've just been spending the day today in the office calling up motivated sellers. We've been following up on some sellers, we've been calling some brand new sellers, and one of the interesting learning points I had today was that we'd spoken to one guy probably about a week ago. Was it a week ago, the guy from Liverpool? And he'd actually said yes, it was a good idea moving up to Scotland, but he wanted something a bit more in writing. So we'd sent him a fairly detailed email. We'd given him 3 different alternatives as to what we could actually do for him, and we're kind of waiting for a response, and we hadn't had any response. So I gave him a call today. He's walking along the high street, about to pick his kids up from school, and blow me, he hasn't had the email. Now we checked it was the right email, and he said, look, I want to scoot on home. It's probably gone in my spam box or something like that, so I'll give you a call back. But the guy's obviously still interested. He wants to sort of talk, he wants to sort of move on, he wants to get up to Scotland, fed up being in Liverpool, and we have got the solution for him. So that was interesting. Next property, and there's another learning here as well. This was a property that Falco had found on a website called Pre-Loved.
Yep.
Pre-Loved, okay. That's great, because I'd never come across this one. It's fantastic. And we'd spoken to them before. In fact, actually, I think, Falco, you'd been going back and forth via
email messaging on the site itself.
That was it, yeah. So,
they were skeptical to start with. They didn't want to know anything, and I just thought, why not, from a learning point of view? And then they were interested and volunteered an email address. So, follow up from that.
And that's the important thing here, guys. Sometimes we think, oh, I've had no response, or they've kind of said no. You know, if you're texting the landlord, or if you're emailing somebody off Gumtree or something like that, and they've said no, not interested. Why not do exactly what Falco did there? Email them back and say, hey, just from a learning point of view, could you tell me what it was that you didn't like about this? And they actually came back and said, look, to be honest, we had a whole load of time wasters, and frankly, we thought probably it was a load of scam, and there you go. We were on the phone with him for an hour, okay, literally just over an hour. I normally reckon I can do a telephone deal in 40 minutes. This was an hour. And the story is this: they've actually got kind of a little sort of small holding stroke animal sanctuary, do you call it that? And they haven't got enough space. They're borrowing a field from the farmer next door, and they're uncertain whether they're going to be able to keep that field long term. So here's the emotional. This is where the thumb screws start getting turned emotionally on what their issues are. They've found another property. It's down in Canterbury. It's got about 10 acres, plenty of space for them, plenty of land, but the actual property doesn't give them much scope. So I think they're going to have to do a lot of rebuilding and play around with the land. But the bottom line is this: there's motivation. And we had a good chat with him, and it wasn't actually an emotional decision as far as he was concerned. He was treating it as very much a business decision. They've got charity status. The property they're looking at is, he called it an OAC. What was OAC?
Something farm restricted or livestock restricted use only, or something. Yeah. Something
like they could only sell this property to somebody else who was going to use it in a farming fashion. So great. What chance have these guys got of actually selling that property? And they've actually moved out of that property, so it's sitting empty. There's a level of motivation there. So this is one where we're going to have to put 2 properties together. We're going to have to try and work with the sellers of the property that our sellers want to move into. Not the easiest of jobs, but it could work nicely. Place we're looking to buy, was it 450 or 550?
He wanted to buy us for 400. He agreed, so we may go 450 to really entice, to really get that greed gland going.
Yeah.
And the one he's selling, they were asking 550, dropped from 625. So we're talking big numbers.
Great. So we like numbers that have got lots of zeros on the end. And if he's brought it down from 625 to 550, you could argue, well, look, what is the actual value of the property? I don't care. It was originally marketed at 625. I can show that to any potential buyer, stroke tenant buyer, and that means that I'm just going to make a few more bucks on the end of it. So, very interesting. And all that came from an original email via Pre-Loved to a person that turned around and said, nah, not interested, mate. Interesting, isn't it? What else have we been up to today? We then jumped on the phones. This was actually a negative equity property. I'm trying to remember where this one came from. Was it one of the leads from Chris?
Gateway one. Gateway.
Was that that? Or was
The one
it?
that fled to Portsmouth.
Oh yes, yeah. Now this was a lead that we had from a company, and this was that they weren't interested in sort of a 35, 40, or even a 50% below market offer. So it's landed in our lap, and guess what? Negative equity. He's got it out for 109,950, so let's call it 110 grand, and he's got a £115,000 mortgage outstanding. What does he do? Nothing. Now, what's interesting is I can't remember the exact figures, but his mortgage amount is quite high at the moment. I think
625.
625 is what he's paying on his mortgage, and the rent he's getting on that was only about 525. So it's 100 quid in negative cash flow. But in June it goes down, in August it goes down to 285 or something.
Something like that. Yeah.
289.
289.
The guy's an IFA. Why would he get rid of a property that's hardly going to cash flow him? It turns down to the emotional stuff. The emotional stuff is his wife and he have been talking about it. Straight on here, Falco. Okay. Straight on. His wife and he have been talking about it, and they just are fed up with the property, and they're not happy with the way things are going. And I reckon he's getting a whole load of grief from the lady indoors that we all know makes a decision. Ladies that are watching, you know you do. Guys, you're watching, I know you tell your mates you make the decisions. You and I both know that your wife, girlfriend, partner makes the decisions. And that's exactly what's happening here.
His pain is his ear.
Sorry?
His pain is his ear.
Yeah, exactly. His pain is his ear. Yeah, I like that. So the point is, you've got to solve the people's problems. He's got a bunch of other properties that appear to be working well. This one isn't working well. So let's make it work well for him. So we can take this on. We'll probably keep the tenants that's in there at the moment. We'll accept that we're probably going to have a bit of negative cash flow for a couple of months. And then what we'll do is we'll then take the property on and put a tenant buyer in there. Perfect. Okay, that's going to work very, very nicely for us. We'll have a little bit of negative cash flow to start off with, but the second we put a tenant buyer in there with a bit of getting started money, we've recouped all those losses, and we've got money in the bank, and we've got great cash flow after that. And come August, we've got even better cash flow. Fantastic. So that's great. And then just, you know what, guess what? Just to top the afternoon off, I got Falco was on the telephone himself, just going through a whole bunch of leads that I've got. How many calls did you make, Falco?
3 or 4, which were none of them were. 3 of them weren't there. One was there, but it was sold, and then the 5th one, lo and behold,
he did a deal.
Not even negative equity.
Fantastic. And the background to this was that the property is empty. The guy is living with his father next door. He's moving into the hotel. He moves into the house every weekend.
Yeah, every weekend, because he's afraid somebody may move in and do damage or steal the boiler.
Is there pain there? Of course there's pain there. What do you reckon it's worth?
Well, he had it up for sale last year with the estate agent, and he said 79 to 80k.
Right.
He didn't sell it. He got disillusioned with the estate agent, pulled it, so he's doing nothing to sell it. We phoned him, and he said,
we like off-market deals, by the way.
Absolutely. And he said, all I want you to do is clear the mortgage at 60. I explained that it will take a few years to do so. He's quite happy with that. I sort of put on the table sort of 7 years or so, and he's quite happy with that. He's not worried about that, and we're following it up, and he's, I would say, 99% sure that's a deal there.
Perfect. So there you go. I mean, we've been on the phone, we've been chatting, doing a whole bunch of other stuff in between, but we've spent probably from, let's say, 11 o'clock till 4 o'clock on and off the phones, a healthy lunch break in between. And if you think about it, there's in effect, there's 4 deals there. I would say that if you are on the phone and you've got lots of leads to bash your way through, that can be an average day for you. Who would like an average day where they do 4 lease option deals every day? It's not bad, is it?
I like it. I want more of it, I tell you that.
So there you go. Look, the whole point behind that is you've got to have a big file of potential opportunities. So you've got to do loads of marketing. Hey, Falco's just dropping me off to pick up my van. Look, you can see the bright ugly yellow. There it is. There's the beast of the van. There's even a little note, a green note on the front windscreen. So I'm going to find out what that is in a minute. It could be somebody whinging about where it's parked, or it could be somebody saying, hey, I'd like you to buy my house. Who knows until we go and see. Opportunities everywhere. So this is Ben Rogers. This is the Property Diary. It's Thursday the 7th of March. I'll speak to you tomorrow, and I hope you found that really helpful today. Take care. Speak to you soon.